Coming up on Theater Talk.
Where did this play come from, Nikki? I mean,
I found it, actually. Yes.
A dumpster.
I was in a dumpster outside of Manhattan Theater Club.
Where I had thrown it.
Right. I said, my God, they're throwing away some perfectly good material.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
What more can I say? How can I express how confused am I by our happiness?
Where do we look?
From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins, and I'm very happy to introduce my substitute co-host for today, Jesse Green, drama critic of New York Magazine. Jesse, would you please introduce our very special guests?
I will. Thank you, Susan. Today we have from Falsettos, the revival on Broadway currently through January 8th, the composer, lyricist, and co-book writer, William Finn. And two of the performers from the show, we have Andrew Rannells.
Excellent performance.
Pardon me, two of the excellent performers. One-time Mormon, Andrew Rannells.
Yes.
And never Mormon, I assume,
Never.
Christian Borle.
Don't plan on it either.
Okay.
Two-time Tony winner, Christian Borle.
It's nice to be here.
And several-time Tony winner, Bill Finn. And
Two-time.
Best Mormon,
5.
Andrew Rannells.
One-time Tony loser.
You've done okay, Andrew.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
So I want to start with Bill. The revival. Where did the idea come to bring
People
it back
have been
again?
talking about it for years, and the producers always wanted to produce it with people who couldn't sing it or act it.
Such as big stars?
So their names and
unlike
Other big stars, yeah.
and others, yes. And so until I could find producers who wanted the cast that I wanted, we had to put it off. And finally we did with Lincoln Center.
Were you at all concerned about the...
I was concerned about everything.
Yes, okay. How concerned were you about the timeliness factor? Let's talk a minute about what the
I was
play is.
actually petrified, because so much changed in the gay community, and I thought this could be absolutely disastrous and look like everything dates. Some things date well, some things don't. It was lovely to find out this dates incredibly well.
Who convinced you, or how were you convinced that it could work?
No one convinced me. I just felt it was time to do it, and I was glad to see. But that doesn't mean I wasn't scared. I was totally scared. And when people say, "Aren't you thrilled that it's coming back?" I'd say yes, but I'd look quizzical.
Let me ask the performers. So both of you were in playpens. I'm
The
imagining,
superb
the superb performers. When the original was set, let alone and when it was produced, you were not yet conscious of theater, I'm imagining. You're very young.
Oh, Andrew was.
No, yeah, I remember watching the '92 Tonys and seeing the performance, and that's how I became aware of the show. I mean,
What about the issues that the show dealt with? Was that something, were you living through in any way the tail end of the...
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, it hit me on a couple levels. I mean, I was already doing community theater in Omaha, Nebraska with men who were living with AIDS. So that factored in very prominently. Also, I was the age that Jason was in the show, which was interesting. Also being a gay child and thinking, is this my future? Could this be my future? For good and bad. Does being gay mean that I'm gonna get sick? Was a question that I had as a kid. I think, learning about the AIDS crisis. Also, I could also be in a very loving relationship with children, and so that was also very hopeful to see as a kid. So it hit me on many, many levels.
How about for you, Christian? Would you remember your first encounter?
I was a freshman in college in '91, and my voice teacher, Gary Klein, handed me the sheet music to What More Can I Say? And I drove everyone crazy by singing that on a weekly basis. And I came to New York in '92 and saw it on Broadway, and it profoundly moved me. And I was aware of what was happening in the world in as much as I had very progressive parents who were properly outraged by how long it took for people to pay attention to what was going on. And as a moderately empathetic person, that was my experience with what was happening politically with the story.
When you each came to work on this revival, did you have to do any work in kind of peeling away your modern, your contemporary sensibility about these issues? And did you treat it as a period piece?
I personally, there was not 1 second coming into this experience where I thought whether or not, wondered if it would be timely, because it's the Bill Finn and James Lapine material is excellent, and I can't think of a lot of other shows that were written in another time, about another time, that came in and had people like, I wonder if it will work.
Yeah.
Because it takes place in the...
No, but I understand why they were asking. It happens to be excellent. But we weren't assured of that before it happened, you know? And this production, Lapine, and it's something I've never seen. He hit a home run in the first production. It was a startling production with everything on wheels, flying across the stage. And then he completely reconceived it, and it's a better production the second time.
Love is blind.
Which is, it never happened.
Yes, but did you not think that you were writing about something bigger than just something that happened at a particular time?
I certainly did. I certainly did.
What was that? What did you conceptualize it as beyond the facts on the ground?
I think it's, for me, when I look at the whole thing, it's about being and becoming a man, and looking at the views of masculinity and everything. I think for me that's what the whole show, and with Jason's bar mitzvah and
the title.
Explain the title.
Well, when I wrote it, I thought falsettos are outside the normal range, the normal voice range, and I thought this family and these characters were outside the normal range, and as time has passed, they are no longer outside the normal range, but we still have the characters in, and I think, you know, the metaphor is still strong enough.
Christian's character begins the show by, he's left his family, and I mean, there's a level on which, although I realize that that the character needs to come out, there's a level on which I'm judging him negatively because he's just sort of left everybody in this way.
Well, and he's not painted as the most sympathetic character either.
He is unapologetic right out of the gate.
Unapologetic right out of the gate.
He says, "I don't mean to offend."
Right, but there.
I do think he's saying that for Mendel's sake, however. Like, from an analytical standpoint.
I actually didn't think so. I think he was saying it.
But I'm saying it right to him.
The audience. Well,
there are two moments in the show that I've decided to like. Yes, I know. But the way I play it is that he does have a very specific relationship with Mendel, and even saying "I am so dumb" is almost less about like a personal thing of saying like, I'm making progress by telling you, my therapist, that I am so dumb.
We should say that Mendel is the psychiatrist.
And
eventually marries the wife.
Speaking as a child of a broken home, I was kind of mad at him at the beginning. Later on, you feel so terrible.
Well, we all have our baggage.
You feel so terrible that, you know, for what he's gone through, that you love him.
I think what's fascinating about what they have written is that you don't necessarily like Marvin even at the end of Act 1. And I've kind of been disciplined about trying to strip away any kind of charm or need to make him likable.
And that's what's so wonderful.
Because it's not necessarily what he's done that I think we judge him on. It's kind of how we see him behave. He makes incredibly clumsy choices.
He's a little petulant.
Yes, he is.
Well, it's more than petulance, and it clearly had to have been deliberate. I mean, you gave him things to say that are kind of horrible in the first act. And obviously that sets up the life changes that are going to happen to him in the second act. But one of the things I like about that is that, particularly at the time when it first came out, there was a kind of gay show or play that was very, I don't know, sought a lot of sympathy, which is fine, and that has its role, but that character does not really seek any sympathy, and the play doesn't seek any sympathy for gayness per se. The loss of a lover, that's a different story. But having the main gay character be kind of obnoxious and hurtful, no,
that's absolutely right.
Was extremely refreshing in its way back then and remains strangely so now.
Well, can't you all think of moments in your life when you've been obnoxious and hurtful? And are you still not worthy of kind of love and, making progress?
And when you've done stupid things that you immediately regret, but you can't get them back.
But that Bill doesn't present Marvin as all nice and goopy at the beginning, gives
Correct.
us a place to go. The other thing I want to say about its timeliness is, I was a young adult during the AIDS crisis here in New York, and I need to be reminded of that. That's what I felt. I felt great pain. But, I need to remember that,
It was so horrible.
Yeah.
Andrew, in playing the part, of course, this character does not know what's going to be happening in the second half, and even through most of the second half, doesn't know what it is that's happening.
Yeah.
It takes place in 1981, at a time when there was no name for this disease. So, was that difficult to do, to kind of, again, strip away your foreknowledge of what's going to be happening to this character?
No, I think the roadmap that Bill and James sort of presented for us as actors is so, it just makes perfect sense. And it just, I mean, it didn't really require a lot of extra work to think about how to connect the dots, which often as actors you have to spend a lot of time figuring out how we're going to end up there. But with this at all, and I feel it every night, that you don't really have to think too far ahead. You just have to be in the scene that you're in. And I'm not saying that as, to be too actory, but it really, the process is so alive and is so, you just have to be present. And you just do, the second act, the way that the racquetball games are structured, and even, what more can I say, in the middle of those racquetball scenes, it all just allows you to just be in the moment, for lack of a better.
They have done all the work.
Yeah.
And even the way James Lapine directed it, he didn't want he didn't want it to be entertaining. And he truly he was very disciplined about stripping away all of our...
What's an example of, like, how might you have tried to entertain at a certain point?
Well, I remember a moment in Brandon Uranowitz, who plays Mendel, is singing a song to Jason. And there are 3 musical beats in it. And the impulse is to fill those beats. That's what we kind of, as actors, and kind of like when we're having fun, we're like, well, I'm going to do, obviously, something on those beats. And James was like, you actually can just stand there. And it can be awkward. You don't have to fill it. And that's an option. And he did that for the whole show. Yeah. So for the first time in my career that I can think about, I have moments where I'm just standing on stage.
Is that scary or liberating?
It's incredibly liberating.
Very liberating.
Just being instead of acting.
Yeah.
And then you start acting and it's fun again. No, I'm just kidding.
It's also great the pace that he created, because there's very little applause in the second act, which is so helpful, because I sometimes on stage when you're holding for applause, or it feels unnatural, and it feels like it does stop the story. So James really allowed us just to sort of plow ahead, and I think it's good for the audience too, because they don't have to participate in that way that you feel like, oh, I guess we have to.
Well, in a show that's almost entirely sung.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it becomes odder in that circumstance to be stopping the train.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes me wonder whether once you get on at the beginning, whether you feel like, I don't know, like I'm on this till the end and whatever happens, happens. And,
yeah, it does sometimes. Christian and I have to sort of remind ourselves at the beginning that, like, once it starts, it's just going to go. So sometimes the starting is a little intimidating, but then once we're on stage, all of that sort of goes away.
It's so really shockingly emotional, I think, for everyone in the Walter Kerr. And I've never had the experience as an actor of not having to manipulate anything. The material serves it so beautifully. And we had a moment the other night at the beginning of the show where we were kind of about to do 4 Jews in a room bitching, and I'm dressed in these biblical robes with this ridiculous yak hair beard. And I was like, I can't believe that in 2 hours and 40 minutes we have to sing What Would I Do together. And it just brings out from my very bowels this emotion. I'm like, that's going to happen in 2 hours and 40 minutes. And you just can't think about it. You just have to take it moment by moment, and it's so worth it.
But what's strange about that, and you feel that in the audience as well, is that, of course, the first act and the second act were written a couple years apart, and were kind of cobbled together and then redone. And so when you started, you did not have that knowledge that it would be ending there.
I did not know where it was going to end, but I always said when I was doing In Trousers, the first part, that it was going to be a trilogy, not knowing how it was going to work out. But just because I'm not so good inventing characters, I thought I have some characters that seem a little juicy to me. I can work with these people and not have to kill myself inventing new characters, which is what I'm not so good at.
Let us name the rest of the people in your wonderful cast. Brandon Uranowitz, Stephanie J. Block.
Stephanie J. Block, unbelievable.
Betsy
They're
Wolfe.
both.
And the boy, yeah.
Yes, Anthony Rosenthal. Amazing.
And Betsy Wolfe and
Wolfe.
Tracy
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yes.
Glorious people all. It's an amazing troupe.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Falsettos will be running through January 8th. Thank you, Bill Finn, Andrew Rannells, and Christian Borle.
Yes.
for having us.
Thank you so much for coming.
Ask me if I need him, get him out of my way. These are the games. These are the games. These are the only games I play.
It was nice of the hotel to give us this fruit, don't you think?
I suppose.
And so much of it. We're only here one night. We can't take it to Acapulco with us. Well, we could, I suppose, but we shouldn't. Is that a kiwi? I don't think I've ever had a kiwi before in my entire... I have to tell you something.
This Day Forward is a funny and ultimately insightful and quite touching play that's now at the Vineyard Theater. It is directed by Mark Brokaw. It stars Holley Fain, and it's written by our old pal, Nicky Silver.
Who I must say is one of the most underrated American playwrights. Nicky Silver has not gotten his due. He should be right up there with Edward Albee for The Menace and Neil Simon for the comedy. I've always thought that about you.
It's very, very kind.
I lie, but
Drunk out of your mind.
no, but you've been with us for. What was your first play that
Well, the first play that opened in New York was Pterodactyl, so that's 25, 26 years ago. So it's been, I'm no longer the kid, which is very disturbing.
I have to ask you, Mark, how many of Nicky's plays have you now directed?
This is my fourth time, third new play.
You have The Lions that went from off-Broadway to Broadway.
Yes.
Yes.
Which, by the way, is a great American play starring the brilliant Linda Lavin and Dick Latessa. That was one of my favorite plays of the last 10 years, The Lions.
Oh, shucks.
But now this one stars the brilliant June Gable and Holley Fain. Now, Holley, I want to say this play involves a marriage, and you are the lovely young bride. But I will say to Nicky, and you correct me, Nicky, that I thought you were a kind of a, you know, B word. This is the age of where we're not criticizing women, and I wouldn't use that word. But you're kind of reveal yourself very early in the play to be
a nasty,
somewhat
unpleasant
selfish.
piece of work.
Well, no, but was she a nasty, unpleasant piece of work?
No, not remote. She's the most charming, gracious, lovely, demure. She is. She's all of those things. Now, she occasionally she does something in the play that isn't as kind in hindsight as it might have been. It's a little selfish, but it goes down with a lot of sugar, so to speak, in this instance.
Can you give us the setup, though, Nicky, for the...
I have to give the setup? I don't remember it. I don't remember it.
Well, Mark...
You know what? I'm going to ask Holley. Holley, tell us about this play, since the playwright can't remember.
I don't remember it. It's new to me every night.
Feel free to chime in. Well, it starts on the wedding night of Martin and Irene. And they've had a lovely wedding. Everything went off without a hitch, and they're back in their hotel room. And Irene has...
Don't say.
I won't.
Yeah.
But she has... some new information has been brought to light, and she has to share that with her husband.
And no, audience, she is not a man. This is not like every other play in New York.
Identity Week is over.
Yeah.
It was at the Vineyard, Identity Week.
Where did this play come from, Nicky? I mean, what...
I found it, actually. Yes.
In a dumpster.
I was in a dumpster outside of Manhattan Theater Club.
Where I had thrown it.
I said, my God, they're throwing away some perfectly good material. So I put my name on the front page and I gave it to Doug Abel. Where did it come from? Well, I write mostly about families, and this play is sort of a look at, it's sort of the origin story in a lot of ways, like how these families end up in such dire straits. I think it is.
I agree. I agree. And how, yes, and I said to you when you came into the green room, now, Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, your family has some tension within it.
I said they are delightful, charming people. And they are. It's all my imagination. My mother may watch. So they are just delightful. My father is gone.
But what was the...
but your mother's alive.
Yeah. Is she going to come?
Does she come to see these plays? And does she? Think,
yes, she does come to see them. They're not about her. It's not my mother.
No. All right.
No.
Linda Lavin is not your mother?
No, not really. She's not. Like, my mother is nothing like Rita.
I'm dying, Rita.
Yeah, I know, but try to be positive.
My mother is funny, but not like Rita at all. No.
Does your mother say, where did you come up with these horrible people in your plays?
She sees her mother in them quite a bit. But she really isn't like Rita. Like, my mother is a very lively, sort of bawdy woman. But if you met my mother in person, and you've met my mother, she just sort of seems gracious and charming and sweet. And my mother is really funny. And my father was really funny. They were both very funny people.
But you look forward to Irene's son, because this play, the first act,
50 years,
spans
almost.
50 years. So you look back to her mother, which sort of explains some of her behavior, and then you fast forward to her son. And so you show the tensions with the families that create certain situations, and not to sound goopy, sappy goopy.
Too late.
you deal with the coming to terms and the forgiveness that is necessary.
Because most of us, we spend our lives trying to learn to forgive.
Yeah, yeah.
For people who were doing the best they knew how to do, and one wrong move just revert. People ask me what the play's about. I say in one word, race.
Mark, what is the greatest challenge of directing a Nicky Silver play?
We're sitting next. You're here.
I was going to ask you, when you get the play out of the dumpster, what does that first draft of a Nicky Silver play look like to you?
But no, seriously, how quiet am I in the room?
No, truthfully, he's a great collaborator in the room because I think he's almost always right. And also because when he started out, he wrote them, he directed them, he built the sets, he cast them, he did the publicity. So I think he really knows what people do in the room.
Holley, what's it like working with these two clowns?
Oh, it's a dream. It's a dream.
Yeah.
I think they balance each other very well.
Because they've worked together for years, so
yeah,
they have a kind of a rhythm that is it difficult to get into what they're talking about because they've been collaborators for so long?
No, not at all. I think the way they work together is very inclusive. And I've never worked with either of them before. And
Well, now, Holley, you had a stage background, but you've been in Los Angeles for a while doing a lot of television.
Yeah.
You were on Gossip Girls and something very recently, which I should know, and I don't remember. But how is it that they brought you, that they identified you and brought you to be in this play?
Because Linda Lavin wasn't available.
I've been in Los Angeles for the past 6 years, but before that I lived in New York. And I love living in LA, but I miss doing theater.
But how did you find your way to being in this production?
I got an audition and I put myself on tape from LA, talked to Mark on the phone, put myself on tape again, and flew myself out here and auditioned for them in person.
Wait, you flew yourself out to audition for this play?
Yeah.
That's how good you thought this play was?
Yeah.
But you also, you had to return something at Macy's, as I recall.
Absolutely, yes.
You were coming anyway.
A pair of booties that did not
I want to ask you guys, since you're all people of the theater, because I'm always interested in the moment in your lives where you sort of fell in love with the theater, Mark.
You know, I didn't grow up, I grew up in a part of Illinois where there wasn't any theater.
At all.
So I think it was probably watching something like the Carol Burnett Show, the Variety Hour.
That was it. And you understood there was something about the performance there, the energy there?
Yeah, very much so. And also because it was filmed in front of a live audience, so there was that interaction.
And Holley, for you?
I was very shy growing up, but there was something about plays and school theater, and I decided to audition in 7th grade for the
what
school
show?
play, Anne of Green Gables. And surprisingly, I got the part of Anne, and it kind of changed my life. I found myself talking more in class and just feeling better about myself, and just thought it was magical, and kept on doing it through high school and college. And
And you, Nicky, when you were a handsome young man growing up?
Well, that was not the case. I thought theater was like arsenic and old lace, and I liked it and everything, but I know the answer to this because I've thought about it before. When I was 11, I know, my father brought me to he used to bring me to New York for the weekend, and we would see plays, and it was seeing Anthony Hopkins and Peter Firth in Equus. So I was coming to New York and seeing very sophisticated things very early in my childhood, because we went to see like the Fantastics, and it was a little dull for me. I like nudity and wire sculpture horses.
All right,
I still have a sort of fetish for wire sculptures. Not the horses, but the sculptures I like.
Thank you so much, Nicky Silver. From this day forward,
wonderful
at the Vineyard Theater. No, I'm going to get there.
And June Gable, and Michael Crane, and Joe Tippett, and Andrew Burnap, and is that everybody?
Frankie Farragon.
And Frankie.
Okay, Holley Fain, Mark Brokaw, and Nicky Silver.
And let me again say, Nicky Silver is one of the most underrated American playwrights. So go out and buy the collected works of Nicky Silver. You can find them at the Strand.
in the dumpster outside the drama bookshop where they throw the remainders. And Frankie, how do you say her?
Ferradani.
Ferradani. I call her Frankie. Yeah. All five.
We all call her Frankie.
All six of them.
Okay. Thank you, Frankie.
We'll see you at the Vineyard Theater.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Loewe Foundation, the CORY and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the NOEL Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy STRELSIN Foundation, and the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you